Theokoles. Theokoles was introduced to us and being said to be the best and strongest fighter of all the time. We first heard about him from a novice gladiator in the Ludus. In the first episodes of Spartacus, he was said to be a giant and having killed hundreds of gladiators in the arena. He is very pain tolerant as we have seen, and had many scars on his face and body, proving this point. He is similar to Gannicus in the ways of entertaining the crowd and putting on a show, instead of killing his opponent instantly. His offensive attacking was very strong, given his size and strength. He had left himself open to be cut often by Crixus and Spartacus, and still stood up after being slashed to the ground. This was to show to the viewer that he is not called the Shadow of Death for no reason. A feat to acknowledge is that Theokoles took on a prime Animeus and beat him from the flashback and explanation we saw from the series. Animeus was able to easily beat a prime Crixus and almost prime Spartacus during a sparring session, and Animeus was long off from fighting itself in that time, yet he was victorious, so he still trained fighters day in day out every day. Theokoles beat this man in his prime, who stands equal if not even stronger than Gannicus and Spartacus. So this means something. Who even knows if Theokoles fought 100% full power when he faced Animeus? And this was long in the past, which means that Theokoles must have been in his prime in his old days. Theokoles we saw in Spartacus was only a shadow of his past self long after his prime. He was actually retired from the arena and a free man as far as we know. He fought mainly for coin or if a big fight like the one versus Spartacus and Crixus was present. He surely knows many fighting skills from Murmillo to Triton to net, shield, you name it. He must have started as a gladiator as well, fighting as Murmillo with sword and shield or something, and when he became champion, he adopted the Demacheos two-sword fighting style, as Gannicus and Spartacus have. Theokoles has his own unique two-sword fighting style, just like Gannicus and Spartacus have. Given he survived so long in the arena, I doubt he has much difficulties against the many styles he had to fight through to get where he was at, and becoming champion. We didn't really see a lot of defense from Theokoles, proving his pain tolerance. This does not take away from the point that his fighting skill is superb in comparison to everybody. When Theokoles would fight a 100% Spartacus or Gannicus, then Theokoles is the type of person to not overly rely too much on strategy when he is in his prime, and could still win the fight without too much of a hassle against a prime Gannicus, Animeus, Spartacus, whoever it is, because prime Theokoles is the god himself. So let's get back to the backstory of Theokoles a little. Theokoles is actually from a comic called Devil's Due Spartacus comic. The story follows the past of the legendary gladiator Theokoles and the events that led to him becoming the known Shadow of Death. He was born with a very big frame, so to say, and injured his mother in the process. Theokoles then grew and became even more stronger, and before his mother died because of the injury inflicted, she told him to promise him to never die and honor the sacrifice of his mother. Long story short, Theokoles helped a pirate in need, and his father, the captain, took him in as a recruit and taught him the ways of fighting. Theokoles is horrified to find some of the crew raping several women captured from a ship they attacked. Theokoles begins to attack and kill the pirates. After killing the pirates, Theokoles attempts to steer the ship to a safe place, but crashed into Rome itself and was held prisoner and sent to the arena to fight. He quickly bested the fighters and was known as the Shadow of Death for this very reason. One day, he got to fight Animeus, the champion of the House of Bariatus, in which Theokoles saw Animeus as a true god, built like a statue of muscles. They fight for hours on end, seeming equal, until Theokoles wins the upper hand, but he then sees the face of his mother in the crowd as he prepared for the final blow and hesitates. This made Theokoles stop, and he let Animeus take the sword, a sword which was lodged in Theokoles' body. Animeus, surprised by the act of mercy, hesitates, but only for a moment before doing as he is told. So basically, Theokoles spared his life. Animeus saw this as shame, whereas people saw it as a win. The only man to survive against Theokoles, the Shadow of Death. Theokoles won the Rudis, his freedom. The match was ended in a draw due to its magnificent performance. Animes becomes the doctori of this house and trains the gladiators within its walls, praying for a day to get his revenge. Actually, there was even a short story in which Theokoles began to love someone named Karina, a woman who lived near the village Laconia where Theokoles' origins are from. She was the only one to ever show him kindness, yet one day, when they made love, Theokoles killed her accidentally. The town turned on him, forcing Theokoles to kill many of the villagers, hence his name Shadow of Death. This is basically all about Theokoles' story I could find out. There is not much more known about him, yet if we take him as in his prime, then he is the strongest fighter above all others, with no one able to beat him.